Alright. Welcome again to another video. Had to do this one over a little bit because I guess I had a little issue with my internet here being a jerk. So as you can see, I'm in the corner of my screen. It says Judgment. I would say as opposed to when it says Full Circle, but I don't actually have anything on my screen that says Full Circle anymore. I should probably fix that at some point. I couldn't get the circle font to work. Anyway, not relevant to this video. But what I want to do, I did a video that was out a week before the time of this recording, where I talked about Judgment in general, and the week before that where I talked about one of the heroes in Judgment. And I am going to do that again. Another one of the Wave 1, as they identified heroes. Those are the ones that were released basically in late 2017. So Wave 2 is coming out later this year. And I just really like the game. I've not gotten to play it as much as I would like. I'm by no means, and this says it in the show notes, I would not call myself an expert. I'm just going to kind of talk about what I've seen and see and what I like about these heroes. I've talked about how awesome the models are. I've talked about how fun the game is. You can go back and see my review on Rick here as well. I've linked to the print and play section in my notes, so I'm just going to read through, but if you want to find the cards, you can read along there. And I'm going to talk about Piper today. So I sort of talked about this with Rick here, but pretty much like as an RPG player and as a just solve the issue on the table. I'm not like the straightforward like sword and board type as much. I'm not like the brute. I mean, damage is great, but like not the just like sort of like mindless, like I go in, I can tank a little bit and do some damage, and like magic as well. But anyway, so and if you watch my video where I talk about the holistically the game, you'll get a sense for the different like components of what's involved with the character. So anyways, this is Piper. Piper is an elf illusionist slash rogue, and he has the supporter categorization. In his case, as we go on, you're going to see that really means that he just does a little bit of everything, but is not like the master of anything in particular. Yeah. So Piper has a movement of 5, an agility of 5, and no resilience. That's a standard stat line for elves, as you'll see going forward. He has a soul harvest of 4, which is good but not great. He has a melee of 6, a magic of 6. Speaking of those, he has 2 attacks. One's a dagger, which is obviously a melee attack. Costs 1 action. Its range is 1 inch, and it does 2, 3, 4 for damage. And then he also has Mage Hand, which is a magic attack. It's a 1 action cost. Its range 6 and does 1, 2, 3 for damage. He has 13 damages, and then he gets one extra damage for level 2 and 1 for level 3. His innate abilities, he is Pathfinder, so this works like it does in War Machine. He does not suffer movement penalties going through rough or treacherous ground. He has Backstab, so his dagger attacks receive +1 damage modifier while resolving an attack against an enemy model which is engaged by a friendly model. He has his Mage Hand attack specifies that while resolving Mage Hand attack, this model can execute push maneuvers as if the attack were a melee attack. So just to explain that, normally for melee attacks you can push yourself or the enemy model. With ranged and magic attacks you can only move yourself, so this allows you to move the enemy model. And then he has Mystic Step, which is at the beginning of his activation he can be completely placed within 2 inches, so it makes him very mobile. And occasionally it'll also put you into a situation where you can get your attacks off without like needing to charge or anything, which is really good. And then as far as active abilities, he has a 1 action ability called Duplicate Self, which just says this model ignores the next enemy basic attack that targets it, and then it expires, and otherwise it'll expire at the end of his next activation, or the start of his next activation. And his Fate ability is Enhanced Self, which gives him +1 to his movement, melee, magic, and agility, and then it expires at the start of his next activation. Okay, I didn't really go over Backstab, but this is the situation where you start putting... We'll talk about this a little bit more, but Backstab definitely puts him into a situation where his damage numbers are misleading on that other side. He can actually do a pretty decent amount of damage. Level 2, he gets Viper Venom. For 2 symbols, if he damaged an enemy model with his dagger, he can activate his duplicate self without spending an action. That'd be pretty good. And at level 3, he gets Taunt, which for a Fate, target enemy model within 6 inches becomes taunted. And then if that model is still alive, it must attack the enemy model that is taunted. This model, if alive, is the only enemy model the taunted model can target during its next activation, after which taunt expires. So that could, in theory, mean that models got to deal with Piper and otherwise can't really do a whole lot. And then just some reminders. Mage Hand, which I talked about. Duplicate Self specifies that damage and the combat maneuvers are ignored. Note the attack action still occurs, and enemy model can trigger combat maneuvers that affect itself from resulting from a basic attack that targets itself, and then Pathfinder also explains that it lets him charge. So the cool thing with Piper is, and we haven't really talked a lot. This is actually sort of an odd one to do at this point. I really just did it because I like this and the model so much. The model's amazing, by the way. It's like got 2 Pipers on it, and one of them's the duplicate illusion. The other one's him like ready to jump on you. It's really cool. The thing with Piper is he kind of fits everywhere. As long as you have somebody as like a flank buddy or easy ways to get flanks. So like Bastion is really strong with him because of the 3-inch melee. Plus then he gets +1 melee from Bastion. So that's a pretty strong combo. He has Pathfinder, so he can get a lot of places. He's very mobile, so he can get a lot of places. With Duplicate Self, Enhanced Self, and theoretically Taunt, although I've not needed to use that personally, he can actually sort of play the role of your tank, and doubly so because he's not actually a defender, so there's a lot of abilities that help non-defenders actually tank stuff. Sometimes defenders helping, sometimes supporters, and he's not one of those, so that means you can use him sort of in the defender role, like he's sort of a pseudo defender. He also can do quite a bit of damage, so again you get that flank off, and now and you can give him the Vorpal blade if you need to. Now his damage grid goes basically 3, 4, 5, and especially if you can place him, he can get a pretty decent number of attacks. I don't think his damage increases any other way. His Enhanced Self just makes him more accurate, so there's that, and he can move even farther. Mage Hand means you can manipulate, so that's sort of his support area, right? Mage Hand allows you to manipulate a lot of the board, and especially if you're making a lot of melee attacks with him, then you can get Viper Venom up once you get to level 2, which can be really strong. He's a Soul Gazer 4, which is usually pretty mediocre, but if you can get a friend or 2 along the way, he can do it in a pinch. He actually used to be a little too good with Enhanced Self. They toned that down at one point. And yeah, so, I mean, Piper's just a really fun hero. You get to place yourself. If you've ever played like an Arcane Trickster style rogue in a D&D campaign, I think that's really what this guy is about. It's actually kind of made me want to try that out if I ever get around to doing that in a 5th Ed campaign. Although I think I want to play an Assassin first. There's so many things that you always want to do. Melee 6, Magic 6 are both like pretty average, but you're able to sort of pump those up as you need to, I would say. He's particularly good against certain heroes, like anybody who only has like 1 quality attack, he just sort of nullifies as posted. Apologies if this video seems at all weird. I like these videos. I will keep doing them. Hopefully we will have some better quality in the future with YouTube. I don't know what's going on with my internet. And go out there, play some Judgement, check it out. It's a great fun. Models are great. We'll have a video looking at some of the models at some point maybe. Or check out my wife's show, her Griffin's Juice Painting on Facebook or on Twitch, twitch.tv. She streams from time to time as well. So anyways, we're gonna call it here. Play some Judgement, catch me on social media, and we'll talk about it. And